started in a very small space. Architectural scenario in Calcutta is obviously changing. We have to become a developer. We convince the authority in Bengal. No one believes in partnership. We introduced that concept. In Calcutta or in Bengal, we should not forget about the context. A building which has been designed that can fit into any other places. The journey of 30 years, we don't see a design as a materialistic affair. I am Debatosh Sahu and my firm is Espace. And we are working almost for the last 30 years. Initially, I have started my own. It was named Debatosh Sahu and Associates. And I have practiced for 5 years almost. And then I thought that to do something good, do something big, I think collaboration should be the key word. So I collaborated with my two other partners, architect Malay Ghosh and architect Pradeep Shankar Sen. And that's how Espace has been formed. When we had started in a very small space. It is about, it's less than 100 square feet of space in South Calcutta. And slowly and steadily, we have come here. Is in this premises. This is our permanent address probably. And you will be astonished to know that to have this space, we have to become a developer, because we have not been able to purchase this amount of space because it is very costly. So we became a developer to develop this project, and we are owning the 50% of this building and having our own office. So I think that is an inspiration for many others in Calcutta. Actually, that time it was really very difficult to have a partnership firm in Bengal, because no one believes in partnership. Because architects, they have their very strong ego normally. So collaboration and a partnership firm was very, very rare. And on those days, after the success story of Espace, at least 10 to 15 architectural firms have been formed in Calcutta itself. So that is our pride. So at least, we have been able to show some path that, okay, architects can also have a partnership firm. The initial journey was not at all easy. It was very, very troublesome. You know that in Bengal, we had started our thing mostly on residential segments and the housing segments, because it's the industry is not that strong in Bengal. So that's how institutional buildings and the other buildings are not that much. Whatever is there, but there is no influx of those structures in the city. So we had to depend on the housing. And in housing, we had done various kinds of housing. If we see the spectrum of the housing starting from the EWS, MIG, HIG segment, and we are really very fortunate that we have been able to do many research work on the housings. So at least in housing, Espace is a name in the state because there are a variety of housing. It's not that the monotonous kind of normal flats we are designing. Our tagline is a bit different. We don't think that architecture or the design is not that intellectual. Neither it is very materialistic. I think it is part of the intellectual understanding of a person who will be living there. Initially in Calcutta or in Bengal, a triple height balcony or the double height balcony, that concept was not there. We introduced that concept into our design, and we convinced the authority that it should be beyond FSI. If you see the Bengal architecture, the balcony or the veranda is a part and parcel of the residential design. So there should be some impetus that should be given to the designer or the developer so that they incorporate the balcony or the veranda within their design, and which is very much important from the climatological aspect of Bengal. And you will be glad to know that, after our repeated request and various meetings with the authority, it has been part of the bylaws now. The triple height balcony is free of FSI. So again, if someone wants to do something good, and if he is consistently insisting on that to the authority, I think that is possible. It is possible to do that, and we have done it. Development is inevitable everywhere, and we think the development should not be contradictory to the local context. Wherever you design something, then obviously we should not forget about the context. We should not forget about the locally available material and the local climate. Otherwise, a building which has been designed, that can fit into any other places. So what is the difference between a project which is in Bengal and a project which is in Delhi? Because the climate is different, the locally available materials are different. So one has to be very sensitive about this point, and that's what we are trying to participate. We want to experience, and we want to have it as a part of our design. If a new interesting project comes, then as a partner, we always have a collaborative effort in the design. Initially, we start with 3 different designs. Then we discuss amongst ourselves and come up with one solution where the best part of all the designs have been taken and it's been presented to the client. And then again that design process goes on and goes on until and unless all of us are satisfied with the same. In our design, we always try to involve the local craftsmen. It's not that always we are successful in doing that, but in many cases where the projects are mostly institutional or a different non-residential building, there we have been able to do that. But in residential building, I think that acceptance is a little bit less, but still we are trying to have that. We don't believe in the intellectual properties of any design, or we don't see a design as a materialistic affair. We think that the design is such a thing that is part of life. In your daily life, the design has to be experienced in such a way that it should give you some inspiration. So that's how we always try to design, be it a residential building, be it a commercial building. And obviously for the institutional buildings, the other considerations are also very important. And in this particular time, obviously for the last 10 to 15 years, we are trying to practice a climate responsive architecture, obviously which will consume less energy for running the building, as well as we will try to use the product or the materials so that the embodied energy in the building materials should as minimum as possible. In the journey of 30 years, we have worked with most of the developers in Bengal. We have done work in many other states like Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, then Assam, then Rajasthan, and Goa also. And our practice is a mixed bag practice. And we are very lucky to work for different kind of projects. We have done institutional projects like cancer hospitals, normal hospitals, schools, university, hotels, stadiums, and residential projects. So there is no end to it, and we are really very happy that this kind of spectrum of projects has come to us. And one most important thing is the clients who are coming to us, they stick to us, and we also try to stick to them, and that's the essence of our success. The architectural scenario in Calcutta is obviously changing. There is no doubt about it. But it is not very encouraging to me, because the kind of architecture which is happening, I'm talking about the mass scale architecture which is happening. There are few architecture which are very, very good, but there are most of the projects which have been done nowadays. You will see that it is mostly cladded with glass sometimes. It is not that way responsive to the climate. It is not responsive to the cardinal points. So that's where I think the change is needed. And we as an architect have to be very, very sensible in the sense, obviously there is a market force. We have to build the maximum considering the FSI of the land, but we have to be sensitive. Just for the sake of giving glass facade on a western surface or in the southern surface, we should not go for it. If you see the climate of Bengal, it is humid, hot and temperate zone. So here the ventilation and the heat gain of the building has to be controlled. I think for that the shading devices, the louvers, which is a part and parcel of the Bengal architecture. In Bengali we call it khorkhori in the windows. So those things are not seen in the modern building. But the modern manifestation of those kind of things can easily be visible if the architects think so. Young generation who are coming into practice, I think they are more focused into it because they have seen and they are studying the global warming, they are studying the climate change, and they know that if it goes like this, then probably we will be landing nowhere. So we have to be very sensitive, and young generation, I think they are more sensible than us. I want to tell to the people who are trying to set up their own practice, two simple things which are very important, which is hard working and honesty. These two things are so important and so relevant still now that anyone can depend on that. If someone sticks to that, I think success is bound to come to them.